Hello and welcome to the Capitol Report on NTD News. I'm Alina Weiskup. FBI Director Christopher Wray facing a piercing line of questioning from House Judiciary Republicans today. Questions over concerns that the agency is fostering a political agenda under his watch. NTD's legal correspondent Arlene Richards has the details.
In an effort to address a growing concern that the FBI is politicized, the House Judiciary Committee today grilled the current leader, Christopher Wray. Republican members of the committee believe the agency is weaponized against the American people and cited what they call illegal scrutiny of conservatives, while Democrat members viewed the hearing as an attempt by Republicans to further discredit the agency and hold it accountable for investigating a former president.
My Republican colleagues seem to believe that a former president similarly cannot be indicted. That would effectively make a president above the law.
Democrat members highlighted the FBI's dedication to following the law before it searched former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence.
Over and over again, the FBI delayed and showed unprecedented caution before investigating the ex-president, even when there was a potential threat to national security.
Wray also defended the work of the FBI.
The work the men and women of the FBI do to protect the American people goes way beyond the one or two investigations that seem to capture all the headlines.
But one Republican member said the FBI is being used as a political tool by the Biden administration. He pointed to language in a recent federal court ruling that blocked the administration and the FBI from directing social media companies to suppress free speech.
The evidence shows the FBI threatened adverse consequences to social media companies that they did not comply with its censorship request.
The House Oversight Committee has been investigating President Biden's family over allegations of illicit international business dealings. Last month, the committee threatened to hold Wray in contempt of Congress for withholding information that could potentially implicate Biden. Republican Representative Matt Gaetz asked,
"Are you protecting the Bidens?"
Ian Sams, White House spokesperson for Oversight and Investigations, said in a statement that House Republicans have decided that the only law enforcement they like is law enforcement that suits their own partisan political agenda. Other topics of discussion included whether the FBI can purchase Americans' location data without a warrant, whether the FBI was present at the Capitol during the January 6th breach, and why a field office opened an investigation of Catholic churches.
And as the NATO summit wraps up, President Biden vowing to bolster alliances in a major speech in Lithuania. NTD's Iris Tao is in Vilnius with more.
Speaking to a huge crowd here at Vilnius University in Lithuania, President Biden seeks to highlight the strength of the NATO alliance.
NATO is stronger, more energized, and yes, more united than ever in its history.
President Biden also emphasized America's role on the world stage.
We did not hesitate to act. We rallied the world to support the brave people of Ukraine
and vowed to continue supporting Ukraine.
We will not waver. We will not waver.
The speech comes after the NATO summit wrapped up today in Vilnius. The alliance is gaining 2 new members, Finland and Sweden. It's also vowing to help Ukraine get closer to joining the alliance someday after the war. And President Biden, while emphasizing that today is an inflection point, also applauded Lithuania's history of breaking away from the Soviet Union.
But the whole world saw that decades of oppression had done nothing to dim the flame of liberty in this country.
And President Biden also stressed the need to together tackle challenges when it comes to climate change, AI, and tensions in the Indo-Pacific region. Next up, Biden will be in Finland before heading back to Washington on Thursday. Reporting from Vilnius, Lithuania, Iris Tao, NTD News.
Also at the NATO summit, President Biden meeting with Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky today. Biden promising ongoing support for Ukraine. That's after Zelensky seemed frustrated with NATO a day earlier. NTD's Arian Pazdar reports.
But I promise you, the United States is doing everything we can to get you what you need as rapidly as we can get it to you.
President Biden on Wednesday assuring Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky of ongoing support from the U.S. That's after Zelensky on Tuesday posted this tweet, saying it's unprecedented and absurd when a time frame is not set for Ukraine to become a NATO member. On Wednesday morning, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg responded to that. He announced a plan aimed at bringing Ukraine closer to the alliance. While on stage with Zelensky, Biden and G7 members, Stoltenberg said that
Ukraine is now closer to NATO than ever before. Allies reaffirmed that Ukraine will become a member of the alliance.
just a day earlier, on Tuesday, the US State Department had explained why Ukraine can't become a NATO member right now.
As the president made clear, there is an important reason why they are not becoming a member of NATO right now, because it would instantly put the United States in a shooting war with Russia.
In Wednesday's one-on-one with Zelensky, Biden said he convinced other NATO members to continue guaranteeing Ukraine's security until the country becomes a NATO member.
And I started to sell that idea to other heads of state. There was no reluctance. There was no, I don't want to. It was everybody just said, okay, and sign on.
At the end of their talk, a reporter asked Zelensky about his Tuesday tweet, in which he criticized NATO.
President Zelensky, are you satisfied with what you got from NATO? You were so frustrated yesterday. Is this enough? Are you satisfied, sir?
I think at the end of summit, we had great unity from our leaders and security guarantees that the success for this summit. I think so, but it's my opinion. Thank you.
Biden's and NATO's comments seem like a strong change, of course, as just days ago they said Ukraine wasn't ready to become a part of NATO. Arian Pastar, NTD News.
And are U.S. companies complicit in China's human rights abuses? Decades ago, Washington established trade ties with the communist nation, hoping that democracy would arrive at its shores through free trade. But lawmakers are now flagging concerns. NTD's Sam Wong brings us more from Capitol Hill.
The Congressional Executive Commission on China is looking into U.S. businesses' complicity in China's human rights abuse.
How can the biggest dictatorship in the world, China, can control a 100% American-made company and fire a U.S. citizen?
The man speaking is Enes Kanter Freedom, a former NBA player blacklisted for his activism against China's persecution of Tibetans and Uyghurs. He said that he was criticized by the league for wearing shoes with messages condemning Beijing's human rights abuse. Freedom told NTD that there's profits involved in the NBA's tie with China.
And when you talk about China, it is hit in their pocket, because when I talk about it, the China canceled every Boston Celtics game on television, and that cost NBA so much money.
Representative Chris Smith, chairman of the panel, said that the NBA will be invited to testify in front of Congress. I spoke with Smith after the hearing, and he told me that the Basketball League isn't the only corporation complicit in China's malpractice.
Google, Microsoft, Yahoo, and Cisco have been part of the problem for decades. The worst of the worst seems to be far too many of our big corporations who kowtow to Xi Jinping on a daily basis. They do not enforce or respect worker rights at all.
Lawmakers are also questioning Nike and Adidas for allegedly importing products made by forced labor in China. Similarly, U.S. telecom giant Cisco recently came under fire for helping the CCP to monitor Falun Gong practitioners who are undergoing brutal persecution in China for their spiritual practice. The case was first brought up back in 2011, but an appeals court just last week ruled that the lawsuit may proceed. In the face of an ever more assertive China, lawmakers are demanding more auditing transparency while urging U.S. corporations to prioritize human rights over profits. Reporting from Capitol Hill, Sam Wong, NTD News.
Thank you for watching the Capitol Report. If you want to see our full broadcast, check us out at epochtv.com.